Hi everyone, so we're back in Virginia Social Studies, Unit 1, Lesson 3 this time. Again, if you have this book, you're welcome to follow along. So the essential questions are, where are the geographic regions of North America located? And what are some of the physical characteristics of the geographic regions of North America? And we're going to try to answer this as we go through the discussion today. So geographic regions of North America. There are several. You can see them on the picture right there. You got the coastal plain, that's sort of on the eastern side and into the Gulf of Mexico a little bit. You got the Appalachian Mountains, the interior lowlands, the Great Plains, the Rocky Mountains, the Great Basin, the Canadian Shield, the Coast Ranges. You can see a lot of them there. It's also in your textbook, this map. So the coastal plain, it's typified, it has land that is low and flat with many pine forests. It has many harbors. Harbors in this case are protected areas of water where ships can dock safely. So they sometimes say, a person can have safe harbor in the church from the cops or something like that. The idea is very similar when we talk about harbors on water, which is how we're talking about them now, it basically means that ships can be safe from harm in harbors. So we have many harbors: New York Bay, Chesapeake Bay, Tampa Bay, and Mobile Bay. This is the one closest to us, is Chesapeake Bay right there. Alright, the next region, and we're going to just go through the regions in this slide and really describe them for you. This is what this section is all about. So the next region is the interior lowlands. This land is mostly flat with some rolling hills. It has many rivers and broad valleys. More trees in the eastern part of the region, and farther west the region is drier with mostly grassland. The next region is the Great Plains. It's east of the Rocky Mountains and west of the interior lowlands. Mostly flat land with vast grasslands and few rivers. They also have no trees. And a lot of crops are typically grown here. And they're typically grown here in large part because we will find that this area has a lot of water underneath the ground that can be taken up from underneath the ground and used to just make these crops grow and make these crops grow well. And this, if you remember correctly from the news, is still a little bit of a problem when we talk about getting oil from Canada. Great Plains are known for their crops. The Appalachian Highlands, one of two mountain ranges. Mountain range is a group of connected mountains. So it's sort of like in the western part of Virginia. If you go west, you'll be able to see it. And the peaks have been worn down by erosion. And erosion means a gradual wearing down by wind, ice, and water of a mountain peak. Becomes more like rolling hills. And just think of them as old. Because there's been so much rain, because there's been so much wind, these Appalachian Highlands are just old. Old like, some of the teachers in school that are older than me. I'm pretty young compared to some of them. So there's the Allegheny Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains. These are both the ones you find in the western part of Virginia if you go from where we are now and just head west. And these are some pictures from there. The Rocky Mountains, located west of the Great Plains, and they are America's largest and longest mountain range. So these are relatively new mountains. They are the largest, they are the longest, and in part they're that way because they're new. They're not old. They haven't been worn down by rain, wind, erosion, that type of thing. There's also a continental divide that goes through this Rocky Mountain range. It divides the Rockies and North America. To the east of it, and you can think of this continental divide as this. To the east of this divide, water goes to the Atlantic Ocean. To the west of this, it goes to the Pacific. It's kind of like just a line in the sand, an imaginary line that determines where water goes when raining. And you can see where it is right there in red. The red line is the continental divide. West of it, water goes to the Pacific. East goes to Atlantic. Another region is the Basin and Range region. It lies between the Rockies and another mountain range further west, the Sierra Nevada. This Sierra Nevada mountain range goes north and south along the California border, and it's going to become important in history when we talk about the movement of settlers west. There's a place called a Great Basin in this area, and it covers the middle part of this. And a basin, what it means is a low bowl-shaped area with higher ground around it. This Great Basin is one of the lowest points in North America. And one of the reasons why we're trying to teach you this geography is because when we talk about history and when we talk about how America works and functions, settlers and people will encounter these mountains. Settlers and people will encounter the Sierra Nevada, encounter the Great Basin. They will have to deal with what they encounter. And that's where the Great Basin is located, sort of east of the Sierra Nevada and west of the Rockies. The Coastal Range region. You can think of this as the coast next to the Pacific Ocean and made up of a rugged mountain ranges along the coast. So this is California for you. So large valleys are to the east of this and produce a lot of crops. Fertile means good crops for farming. And to the west of it, it's a lot of ports and a lot of what you would normally expect California to look like. The Canadian Shield is another region we should talk about. It wraps around the Hudson Bay in Canada, and it covers half of Canada. This is basically as north as you can get in North America. Mountains here are eroded into low hills due to ice called glaciers. So this glacier action is really just rubbing against the mountain and taking stuff off top and taking stuff off top. The northern part of this area is called tundra, and the southern part has a lot of forest. So the northern part called tundra, what it means is cold, dry, treeless plain. And these glaciers rubbing against the mountains, they are basically slow-moving large pieces of ice. So that's a glacier. It's slow-moving large pieces of ice. And that's what a tundra looks like right there. So a review. If you can answer these questions, you get what we just talked about in this video and in this presentation. So I'm asking you, write a description of what we just talked about in this video without looking back to the previous part of it. If you can't, you need to listen to this video again. What are the 8 major geographic regions found in North America? Please list them. We talked about 8 in this video, so you should be able to list them. How do glaciers affect the Canadian Shield? We just talked about that, so you should be able to answer that. And finally, how do the Rocky Mountains differ from the Appalachian Mountains? Why?